Welcome. Today we're going to install Lucy hardware on a Permobil Model M wheelchair. In the box, you will find a user manual, the smart frame, the Scout, the Lucy Link hub, and a dashboard, along with all the screws, zip ties, and small tools you will need for installation. We'll start by removing and replacing the 2 bolts on the back of the wheelchair. Find the M8 hex bolts and the M6 Allen wrench. Using the wrench, remove the bolts one at a time on the back of the wheelchair. In their place, insert the 2 M8 hex bolts and hand tighten, leaving about 1/2 inch spacing. Please do not over-tighten. If someone is sitting in this seat, these bolts will have a little bit of load on them, and that can be a little trickier. We will not use the bolts that have been removed. They can be sent home with the owner of the wheelchair. If the chair you are working with allows, power the wheelchair on and raise the seat and legs to get them out of your way. Then power the wheelchair off. Remove the 2 thumb screws on the wheelchair base to expose the cables. We will not need these screws. They too can go home with the chair owner. Slide the rear top cover back and remove the rear battery cover. Find the smart frame equipped with fusion sensors. Hook the smart frame around the seat mechanism, beginning at the front and rotating 90 degrees clockwise as shown. Slot the smart frame down onto the bolts on the back. Ensure that the smart frame is lying flat on the wheelchair base and is not pinching any cables or hardware. On the back of the wheelchair, unplug the main RNet cable on the far left and plug it into the female RNet cable on the smart frame. Plug the male RNet cable from the smart frame into the main wheelchair RNet outlet. Make sure that these wires route around the tie-down hook. Now you can replace the back cover and close the rear compartment. Ensure that the covers line up. Using the 13mm wrench, tighten the 2 hex bolts on the back of the chair. Next, find the thumb screws we provided and use them to replace the thumb screws we discarded earlier. Tighten all 4 of these screws. Use the provided alcohol wipe to clean a flat area on the wheelchair seat back. Next, find your Lucy Link hub. Remove the Velcro backing from the Lucy Link hub back cover and affix it to the cleaned area so that the cable exits the Lucy Link hub at the bottom. Route the cable from the smart frame along the existing cabling toward the Lucy Link hub, zip tying it in place. Make sure all cables are bundled and routed so as to avoid damage to the cables through pinching or dragging, etc. If the cable is too long, loop the excess cable, securing it to the wheelchair. Begin by lowering the footrest completely. Align the correct footplate template on the right footplate and tape it in place so that it does not shift. Insert the drill bit into your drill and drill 3 holes as indicated on the template. Ensure that the holes on the footplate bracket line up with the holes you drilled. Careful with those metal shavings. Use a brush or vacuum to get rid of them. They can be sharp. Use 3 M4 screws to screw the Scout assembly to the underside of the footplate. Raise the footrest to its fullest extent. Route the Scout assembly cable along the side and top of the footplate, then along the back of the leg rest, zip tying it to the stationary bracket low on the leg rest. And make sure the footplate has its full range of motion. Then use a long zip tie to secure the cable to the stationary bracket just under the seat, all the while making sure cables are bundled and routed so as to avoid damage to the cables. From there, follow existing cabling underneath the seat, using the existing cable clips, moving toward the back of the seat, toward the Lucy Link hub on the back of the chair. Choose the correct dashboard bracket for the wheelchair you're working with today, standard joystick or alternative drive. We've provided brackets for both. Once you've selected the correct bracket, you can follow the same procedure. Use 4 1/4-inch screws to attach the bracket to the back of the dashboard. Make sure your cable is coming out here. Use the appropriate screwdriver. Some models use a Torx T10 screwdriver. Others use a Torx T8. Remove the top 2 screws from the wheelchair control panel. Insert 1/4-inch screws into the bracket and attach that to the wheelchair control panel. Follow existing cabling to route the cable to the Lucy Link hub. Use zip ties and cable clips to attach cables along the way. Using a screwdriver, remove the cover from the Lucy Link hub. Attach the USB cables from the SmartFrame, the Scout, and the dashboard inside the Lucy Link hub. Ensure all cables are securely seated in the Lucy Link hub and reattach the cover to the Lucy Link hub. Loop the excess cable and zip tie it together, securing it to the wheelchair. You have successfully installed Lucy hardware. If the rider typically uses backpacks or hangs other bags off his or her wheelchair, suggest the rider clip their Lucy Link key to a different location on the wheelchair to avoid knocking it out of its magnetized place on the Lucy Link hub.